Just a quick round of intros. I'm sure you know. But I'm Jane. I work on the marketing side, and
Yeah,
don't know
and you
Chris.
guys know me. I'm Chris from design. So.
We have to do it. We have to start.
I know you're Chris.
With a quick intro. But we are running a few minutes late, so I'm happy to dive right in and go through your questions. So hopefully we'll get through all of them. Why don't we start with Dan, Coffee with Kenobi?
All right, let's do this. Good morning, everybody. Is there a possibility to continue Indiana Jones offerings? Just a possibility. We're not looking for spoilers.
Yeah, you get the gist. No spoilers. Indy was so fun. I would say, we had a lot of great products out there and nothing to share at the moment. We'd love to do more, but we just want to hear, if there's also demand out there, but nothing to share regarding Indy. Cool. All right, moving on. Yoda News.
Yeah, good morning, everybody. This was our number one submitted question. We had it sent in over 10 different times in some fashion. The Black Series creature packs, similar to the Wampa and the Luke and the Sand Trooper Dewback. I know you can't say what's in the pipeline specifically, but are there plans to continue with creature packs in the future?
Yeah, well, you said it. We can't talk about anything we haven't revealed yet, but it's not off the table. So, you guys scraping your own groups and talking amongst yourselves and sharing that data with us. We're there, we're watching, we're part of those groups. So, yeah, keep the dialogue going and let us know which ones are in demand for you guys. Because I think that's the biggest part, is making sure we do the right stuff for you guys.
Yeah.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Galactic Figures, Chris.
Good morning, everyone. You've pipeline revealed a Black Series 2-pack with a Phase 2 clone and a battle droid. And you've shown the 332nd clone in a Phase 1 Lieutenant's 2-pack. Are both sets part of the Clones of the Republic subline?
So it's not, actually. Those are just clones from our own doing. The Clones of the Republic is actually a Disney program. So that Mace 187th clone pack is Clones from the Republic, as you know. We're lucky enough to do that pack in partnership with Disney. So, for any future Clones of the Republic pack, definitely also check in with shopdisney.com. But those packs that you mentioned are not part of that program.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. But they were fun nonetheless. Toy anxiety, Ryan.
Oh, good morning and happy holidays.
Holiday?
TVC Chopper and Huyang are on the way with the Ghost funded. The steps, what steps is the team making to have essential characters from Ahsoka released in time when it is delivered?
Yeah, we're so excited that the Ghost is coming to us next year. And as you know, we've actually shared quite a bit between Rebels and Ahsoka tied to the Ghost, between the tiers and the Ghost, which we all unlocked, for example. But also we have items showing up on shelves right now with Hera and Chopper, HK87, Morgan Elsmith, Ahsoka. We have Huyang pre-ordered. We have things pipelined that hasn't even been shown yet. So there's quite a list of items coming, and hopefully that the fans will have quite a repertoire of toys to play with once the Ghost shows up on shelf. And that was just listing a few. I think there's quite a lot. We can go on and on. But we definitely want to world build that environment once we have the ship in hand.
That's awesome. Great. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mark, Blue Harvest.
Hello. Good morning from the UK.
Morning.
I want to start off with, the problems you've faced. You've faced a lot of problems over the years, and one of them was distribution and definitely getting the products on the shelf and the amount of products. Do you think it's gone the other way now, though? Do you think you will have to pause in production? Will there be a pause in production to let the collectors catch up? And maybe the independent retail as well, getting swamped with product. Do you think there will be a pause at any time?
Yeah, I don't know that we would ever say that there's a confirmed pause by any means, because I think our fans would definitely want items and news to keep coming. For us, it's always a balance, like keeping track of when things go on shelf and when things flow out. Obviously, with COVID, the last couple of years, it's kind of just it's gotten a lot better, but we're always catching up of when that pipeline of products is coming through to shelves. So we'll keep an eye on it. We'll obviously make sure that like it makes sense what we're doing and when things are going on shelf ideally, and it'll even out eventually. That's the goal. But we definitely, we are cognizant of what fans are seeing when they're on shelves. We want to make sure it's a good experience for everyone.
Yeah, and Jing and I were talking about this the other day, and I was using an analogy to like a traffic jam on the road. Like, I mean, there's a lot of cars there, and you'll see moments where like stuff moves really smooth and fast, and then there's a log jam. And I think we're in one of those moments where we're expanding and contracting and kind of reestablishing the normal flow. But yeah, I think, like Jing said, we'll get there and get back to a more regular cadence.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you. Coffee. I think that was first round, so we'll go right back up to the beginning. Coffee with Kenobi.
Excellent. This is my first question, like that one. This one is also sent in from some listeners. They wanted to ask about the Sabine and Chopper HasLab ghost carded figures with the mural, as far as them planned on being released. And would those who purchase the HasLab Ghost get the first opportunity to purchase? I think we're looking at some purchase anxiety.
Yes. And I don't blame the fans. We tried to mention it at PulseCon earlier this year, but we'll say it again for sure. And actually, we have an update in the sense that item will go on pre-order early next year in January. So we will stay tuned for more information, but we have our sights set on when we can share those news with our fans about that item. So once we discussed this too, once that item is pre-ordered and announced, there is a limited window to buy into this item. And once you get that item, we build to demand. So any fan that wants it is able to get it. So it is not early release for the HasLab backers, but we also made sure that the HasLab backers that want it are able to get it. There isn't like a sold out quantity.
Yeah, there's no cap on the quantity we're going to put up for pre-sale.
Yeah. So if you want it as a HasLab backer, we want to make sure you can get it. Just definitely buy within that pre-order window that we will announce early next year. Cool. Yoda's news, Mark?
Yeah, this kind of goes back to what Mark said a few questions ago. And this is, a lot of us have been collecting for quite a long time. Remember the days when you could just walk into a store and it was, the current figures were out on the line. It wasn't that, the quote unquote coolest ones are 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, a year away for pre-order. We understand, the distribution, it takes time to make things, but do you guys ever see a time where it's going to be like a catch up where the current content that we're watching on Disney Plus or the movies or the video games will be available actually in the store to just go and purchase instead of go and pre-order?
Yeah, it's a good question. And I think for us, that's always the goal. I think it's the goal probably for everyone. And I think we've done better with that, especially with Ahsoka is a good example. Recently, Ahsoka has come up much closer on shelf. Some have shown up even, while entertainment is live. So that's always something that we strive for, to make sure that we can have that, you see it on show, see it on shelf experience that you were just talking about. And we work closely with Lucasfilm and with our distributors and everything along those lines to try to make that happen. So when that's possible, we'll definitely aim to do that. And again, like Ahsoka was a good example of a recent example of us getting closer to that cadence.
Great, thank you.
Galactic figures.
Okay, so this next question is from reader Jeff, and I think it has to do with a lot of product hitting at the same time, especially this fall with the HasLab Ghost. And he asked, any future plans for a set release date, such as when there was a Force Friday release date? This would help collectors better plan purchases in advance, since more release dates have been moved up and product just ships. I think asking collectors to pay $1,000 for product in a month was steep this September, October.
Yeah, I think that, September, October was a peak month for outlay, but I think what we try and do, I mean, largely driven by the Ghost, but what we try and do is reveal stuff and pre-order and give everybody a good idea of when stuff's coming, so people can budget for that. Because we know it's a lot sometimes for people, but giving that stuff up front and visibility to when it's coming, so you can plan for it, is an important part of what we do. No plans for a set shelf date like FanForce Friday was. I mean, but it's certainly something that could happen in the future. I mean, wouldn't say it'll never happen again. I mean, those were fun events, and love to take part in those. But yeah, we'll just, for now, we'll keep trying to be as transparent with you guys and giving you as much visibility to when stuff's coming, so you can budget around it.
Yeah, and thinking ahead for situations like that too. Trying not to have that, be the reality. So it's something that we, can certainly keep in mind about items revealing and selling in the future. So.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Toy anxiety, Ryan.
Hello. Yes, definitely bring back Force Friday. That would be amazing. I would love that. Okay, on with the question. One of the biggest announcements to come recently was the announcement of the 4-inch Epic Hero series. I know these are different teams, but they mentioned Beasts as part of their line. Have you been working with that team at all to see if those Beasts would be compatible with TVC?
Interesting question. So we actually can't talk about items that haven't been officially revealed by us, but we can say that you should stay tuned for more to come in January. And then, there'll be more information at that point to talk about the 4-inch line.
Awesome. Fantastic.
Thank you. Blue Harvest Toys.
Right, so my channel is mostly vintage Star Wars. I'll admit that. But the retro line is very big with my viewers, very big, and with me. So what is the future? Are the 6-packs going to continue? And will we eventually get the 96?
I think that's the question everybody wants. So, I mean, obviously we love retro as well. I mean, I think I've been more than transparent about my passion for it. And while there's no explicit plans to do the full original 96, I mean, recreations of those Kenner figures will continue to be part of what we do with retro. So, I mean, if retro continues long enough, yeah, let's get there. But that's not part of the plan. I mean, it is part of that, though. So, I mean, you'll continue to see things like that.
Fantastic.
Chris definitely lives and breathes retro. So he's a big proponent of that on the brand as well.
I've got more questions. Yeah.
There's a Boba Fett sitting on my desk within arm's length at all times. Yeah.
Coffee with Kenobi, Dan.
I would say the retro line is the most important invention since fire, the catalytic converter. So keep it up.
Whoa.
Yeah, I know it's a big claim. I'll stand by it. So speaking of the retro styles, has there ever been consideration given to doing a retro style version of the original, like 1/1 scale Han Solo blaster, the Stormtrooper blaster, or even better, that classic inflatable, like beach ball inflatable lightsaber itself?
That was the first lightsaber I had growing up. No, I mean, we love hearing input like this from you guys. So, but there's nothing like that we can talk about right now. So, yeah, but keep the shout outs for that sort of stuff coming, and the like TVC Black Series groups, like you guys do such a great job of letting us know what your wants are. Retro and the community behind retro, please do the same thing. I mean, we love hearing that, and like we've said multiple times, like getting you guys what you want is what's important to us. So,
yeah,
I'll be an incessant babbler, I promise.
You're fueling Chris right now. He's like, tell me more about what you're going to hear about retro.
Yeah, you guys justify like the poster on the wall. Look at that. Like,
Yoda's news.
Yeah, I'm actually going to read this one because I'm not a diorama builder, and this came in from quite a few people that, built different models and whatnot. So vintage scale, as we know it, is the world building scale. As much as we love having the vehicles in playset, some other items that will go a long way without costing a fortune, like an Imperial control console on the Death Star, laser guns, speeder bikes, land speeders, etc. Have you considered any types of these items in the hope that we can keep building world sets?
I mean, yes. There is hope of things coming along the lines for things like that. Obviously, like I think you were reading someone else's question, but the question said it was important for us to understand what the demand is out there, but to build out more of that world building for that scale as well. We've done it recently with HasLabs and the speeder bikes that came out, for example. We've done it with playsets in the past, and things like that is always on the table to be considered. We definitely want to hear from the community if there were specific ones that they really want to see, so that we hear about it and comes into our thoughts and our considerations. So
yeah, and vintage collection at 3 3/4 scale exists because of world building. Like, that's why it's there. I mean, that's the core meaningfulness of it. It lets us do fun stuff like the ghosts. So yeah, just keep the requests loud and often.
Thank you.
Galactic figures.
With the pipelined Season 1 Kanan and Zep for the vintage collection, it looks like there'll be a lot of products to support the ghosts when it comes out, which is great. And however, there are still quite a few characters that interact with the Razor Crest, particularly characters which have actually been made for 6-inch, like a Season 1 Grief Karga, Mix Mayfeld, Zero, the Bounty Hunter droid. Are the Hasbro team still thinking about characters to go with the Razor Crest, or have you moved on?
Yeah. The good thing about the vintage collection is, like, we never move on. So we're talking about the classics again. Like, there's everything is always on the table. So I wouldn't say that we've moved on and wouldn't revisit some toys that interact with the Razor Crest, for example. The other good thing about the vintage collection, or Star Wars in general, is that there's just so much for us to dig into. There's just so much entertainment, so much history, even in the extended universe. So there's just a lot for us to, we love to dig into. So a good opportunity to know, what some of those figures are really requested is to hear from fans and be like, what do they really want to see? And along those lines, we pay attention. I know there's been a lot of fan polls, for example. Those are great opportunities for the fans to let the community know what is highly requested, and we definitely pay attention to those.
Thanks.
Yeah. Toy anxiety. Thank you.
Hello. I know this question has been asked similarly in the past before, but because we're new to doing this, we want to make sure this gets answered on our channel as well. What goes into deciding when a character gets a release? In the case of Carson Teva, he has been featured in pivotal scenes and storylines in The Mandalorian, Ahsoka, and the Book of Boba Fett, is a fan favorite, and the actor portrays him is an avid Star Wars collector. Is there a specific reason why he hasn't received a figure yet?
No specific reason. We're fans too. I mean, we're looking at the list you guys create, track your wants, like all the brackets, all that sort of stuff. We watch and pay attention to all that stuff. But it's always a balance of overall demand. I mean, with new entertainment coming out, I mean, luckily that's continuing. There's always fun stuff. But for him, there's no specific reason, but it's always good to keep him on our radar like this. And I mean, we'll continue to say it. We love hearing from you guys about this sort of thing. So yeah, if he's a figure that you guys think is super meaningful, then yeah, he's going to rise to the top for us.
Yeah.
Awesome.
We're big fans of him as well. And it's awesome because he's been in so many entertainments, and we just did his helmet, as you know. So it's
I dressed up as him for Halloween. So, yeah.
Nice. Right? And
yeah,
he's a great excuse to re-release an X-Wing as well. So you can always pump out more vehicles that way too.
Yeah, here's a patch from my Halloween costume sitting on the table. So
nice.
you just
awesome.
Have everything handy.
I do. It's like, yeah, this is my world.
What did you want to hear about this? Yeah. So it's good because we hear about him. He gets brought up in these fan interviews, and it's just really helpful for us to hear about it because, every time we hear about it, we're like, oh, yay, another comment about him. Definitely just keep letting us know what you guys want to see, and I think we definitely will keep that in mind.
Yeah, and be thoughtful too about those sort of things. I mean, we joke and say like we're looking at that stuff all the time, but it's always a juggling act between that character and another character, and like you have to put them up against, well, would I give up this person to have this person? And like those are the kind of decisions we have to make all the time. So yeah, the more data from you guys is better.
Okay, awesome. Thank you.
Blue Harvest Toys.
Yeah, following on from the last question, I know you'll probably get sick of it. Any chance of vehicles in the retro line? Mini rigs, especially. They are the thing that keeps popping up in debates.
Yeah, we see that. We do. I have a set of the original mini rigs of my own. I love the things. There's nothing we can talk about, and I mean, obviously, we can't talk about anything we haven't announced. But yeah, I mean, if retro continues to be a healthy line, and that's something that everybody asks for and continues to want, I don't see why that couldn't be a possibility.
Yeah, thank you.
Never say sorry about asking retro questions. Chris is here for you.
Yeah, we could do a whole round
I need to cut him off.
things.
Yeah, Chris.
Yeah, just for retro.
I'm here for that.
Coffee with Kenobi. We're back up to the next round.
All right, challenge accepted on that retro line. Actually, now this is more of a sort of helping us understand how the system works. So on average, how long does it take to go from concept to creation to pre-order to a finished product? So people have an idea of how much work and planning goes into a Hasbro Star Wars creation.
Well, what we normally say is 12 to 18 months from the time of concept to shelf, and that varies a little bit depending on what it is, how much work has to go into it, whether it's completely new, if it's something that we're just seeing and have to dive in, a vehicle, and like when the N1 showed up, like just the amount of time it took to do that and develop that, because it was more complex. And helmets and lightsabers take a little more time. Figures take less time, but not significantly less. But there's more of an established process. They're kind of the same thing with little variances over the way, instead of like, say, a lightsaber that might be completely different from saber to saber. So those sort of things, like it changes, but 12 to 18 months is a good rule of thumb. And then we try and pre-order a few months earlier than the on-shelf date, as you guys know, just to give you guys kind of in that window. So it's that pre-order date is generally more based off of when it's going to hit the shelves than when we start the item. So, but those dates move around a little bit too.
Yeah, and we've been trying to pipeline things for you too, just so that fans have a little bit of earlier visibility even. But there's a lot. I mean, Chris, simplified it. Thank you for asking that question first of all, because I think it's always good to talk about like the process, but Chris works so closely with Lucasfilm, and it's a step in the development process. And then obviously from a marketing standpoint, we want to line it up with beats where it makes sense. We want to give fans information early where we can, where possible. So all of that kind of lines up with trying to get the info out to you guys when we can. But yeah, there's a whole team back here doing everything from the littlest sculpting, painting to creating the assets for reveal. But we try to do right by fans. Thank you. Okay, Yoda's news.
Yeah, I think Dan's seeing my screen because that was my next question. So thank you for answering that one. It's kind of like getting a double. So this one's going to be sort of like a crystal ball type question. I understand you can't answer it maybe specifically, but for the fans of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker, you guys have been pretty good about, doing anniversary sets here and there. And are we going to see a movie line possibly from, those figures coming out for an anniversary? I know it's, 3-4 years from now, but I know you guys like to plan early. Or is that just simply off the table at this point for those films?
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah,
sorry, Jen, go ahead. I was just going to say 3 to 4 years is even a little far out for us to be thinking about some of these things. But no, I mean, none of that stuff is off the table, and anniversaries are a great time for it. So.
Yeah, and we did have the figures when the movies first came out. We just, it's definitely good to know what fans request, and then we'll go from there.
Okay, thank you.
cool. Galactic figures.
Why is the uniform of the Imperial officer in the vintage collection multi-pack a nice bright white, but every other white-suited Imperial, including Thrawn and Krennic, are off-white?
Yeah, that's one. I mean, we've seen you guys chatting about that online. For those, the ones in the troop builder packs, those felt, I think, more like just pristine, clean versions of the characters, where the individual figures, there was specific reference to look at and kind of follow that stuff and ground them a little bit more in those scenes. But we're looking at that, and we are happy if the consensus is that you guys like the more off-white stuff. We're happy to reevaluate that for future releases and continue to hone in on things that you guys really want.
Okay. Thanks.
Toy anxiety.
All right. I think I know the answer to this question, but I just want to make sure my assumptions are correct. Through the 90s and 2000s, it was common for an entire figure line to be revealed early in the year at Toy Fair and then released in waves throughout the year. What is the benefit of staggering reveals throughout the year as opposed to revealing a release calendar for all waves at the beginning of the year?
Yeah, it's interesting. It'd be interesting to see what fans like too. I think especially with COVID, it made us giving frequent touch points much more of a reality. So doing live streams, giving fans information throughout the year, which I thought it would have been helpful to definitely have those more frequent touch points and conversations, and also help planning out the year a little bit with news. I mean, who doesn't love to talk about Star Wars?
Right? Yeah.
So like every couple of months we're like, hey, let's talk about all these items that are coming. So it's good. And I think the other good thing about it is also helps us, maybe match certain news that are coming. Like Gift the Galaxy is a good example of like having a holiday news and holiday beat. Ahsoka Entertainment having live stream around that, having the Ghost HasLab around that time, around San Diego Comic-Con, things like that. So it gives us a touch point to talk about it. And definitely with COVID, that helped. Like, the fact that we're doing more things online just definitely helps spread the news a little bit more. So that's one of the reasons why we do that. And hopefully, fans like to hear from us more often. So, but let us know.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is fun. I like doing this as opposed to photos online somewhere. This is
Yeah, good. We like talking to you too. I think that's good. That's good feedback.
Yeah, and it's not that we want to hold info from you guys. We want to get it to you as soon as we can. And in some ways, Toy Fair, like, you had to hold all the info until that point, and then reveal stuff. Now, as soon as we can, we get to talk to you guys and reveal things. So it really gives news in more real time the way we do it now.
Yeah, and we spread it out. Like now we're giving you pipelines, which only started happening a couple years, like maybe a year or two ago. And now there's a lot of info we're trying to give you sooner rather than later, just so that the fans can get a sense of what's happening and what's coming down in the future.
Prepare our wallets and bank accounts. Get ready.
You're placing your shelf for that Ghost that's coming. Like,
oh my God. I am in such space danger. I still don't know what I'm going to do, but I'll figure it out.
Yeah, it's going to be amazing. Okay. Blue
Thank you.
Harvest Toys. Thank you.
Right, Chris, you're up. I don't know if you remember, but Star Wars Celebration, you might have bought a figure off me.
Yeah, I remember. He has a place of honor.
This is the personal question that's been burning in my head. Did you use that yak face to scan for the retro figure?
No, I didn't. Yak, I used a different yak face from a friend, and we scanned that. That was done. That was done when I got the one from you. But doing that and getting back into the figures for that wave is what really kind of sparked my brain and got me looking for him while we were there.
Selling that figure to you to help you complete your collection.
Yeah, it's an important part of it and comes with a great story. So it did help with colors as we were working on it. So it was part of the process.
Oh, yes.
Chris, you got to just say yes. Just say yes. All right, Coffee with Kenobi.
I love it. You're doing God's work. I love it. So this isn't really a question so much as just a thank you. The retro chopper is an absolute delight. The stickers on the dome and just even how the head clicks like the classic R2. It's an absolute one of my favorite figures of all time already. So thank you for that. It's great.
Yeah, no, I'm glad you guys like it. Yeah, we played with stuff like the clicking noise is set up a little different in him, so it's a little deeper and sounds a little different than R2. I mean, you can't get grumpy noises coming out of it, but it is a little different and fun. So that was a nice one.
Yeah, you guys are just fueling the retro fire for Chris. It's a good way to start.
It is, yeah. No, we need to put lots of these notes in front of a lot of other people.
Yoda's news, Mark.
Yeah, so my question is about, the comic books and the novels. There's been a lot of really great books that have come out, over the last even just 6 months. There's been several of them. And I know you guys have done typical ones before. Sometimes there's bookend packaging. I think there was a 4-pack, things like that. Or is that going to, I know you can't be specific, but will you continue to look at new comics that come out and new novels and books and stuff like that when you're thinking about figures to go out, even though it's not like a movie TV property?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. We've shown that we do actually, like with some of our pipelines or reveals, like we go back to some of the old comics as well, and go through those. And gaming to Star Killer was one of the most popular toys this year. So it's definitely something that we loved doing, and there's definitely fans on the team who's been really excited about doing some of those figures out there as well, and we'll keep in mind. So there's definitely things that, like, if it makes sense and there's demand and it's a good moment to do it, we will keep it on the radar. So definitely possible.
Yeah, and I think too important, like we've talked with all the other stuff, you guys let us know if there are things you feel like are standout important ones that we've missed or you want us to take a look at. Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you.
Galactic figures. Sorry, Chris.
Yeah, for the Black Series, will the thigh swivel come back, especially for dynamic characters like Jedi, Sith, and Mandalorians? It's not needed for characters like Mon Mothma, but it was missed with the Padawan, Ahsoka, Malgus, and a few others. Hopefully, everyone in the Heir to the Empire set will have it. It just feels like a step backwards. And by the way, the 4-pack for the Heir to the Empire was received really, really well by my community. So,
no, that's great to hear. For the thigh articulation, I mean that's something that we're continually trying to improve the aesthetic of figure sculpts too, like the same as we try to improve the articulation. And on some of the figures, not having a slice through a hunk of their anatomy, we felt like it was important to some of those figures. And on ones where we've done that, we have opened up the ball and socket joint a little more to allow for a greater range of motion and to get it to feel a little more realistic in how those figures move, without having that visual step and slice in the thighs. But it is really what works best for the figures. I mean, some of the ones that are more highly posable or you see in stronger poses, like those will probably continue to have that mid thigh break, but it's not a hard and fast rule. It's just kind of what makes sense for the figure at the time and the detail on that figure.
okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. To anxiety.
I think we only had the 4 questions. So I think I'm just going to keep passing things along, not hold things up. But yeah, let's just keep going with the retro line as much as we possibly can. So I'm just going to keep giving shout outs to that. More droids, more R2 units.
Cool.
The more the better.
All right.
So
Thank
awesome.
you.
But no, thank you.
Cool. All right. Blue Harvest Toys.
Right, so I'm a big design fan. I've actually just got Bob Breakin's Palatoy book today, so I'll be reading that for the rest of the day. The sculpts are amazing, by the way. But do you get any of your original ideas to go into the designs?
Yeah, all the time. I mean, that's part of the design process on these things, is especially on new figures, things that haven't been done before. The team gets to kind of make some of those calls. Sometimes there's a detail that isn't seen on screen, getting to add that sort of thing in, whether that's for me on a vehicle, like an internal detail that isn't seen, that we get to design something behind the scenes. The Ghost, you guys saw some of that, where there are panels that come off the top and there's engine details, those sort of things. Yep. So yeah, we get to do that sort of stuff all the time, and it's never not amazing to be able to contribute to Star Wars that way as a designer.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Great. So we actually do have 5 minutes left. I'm happy to just go through one more round robin for anyone who do have questions. We'd love to answer them. So Coffee with Kenobi.
Actually, I don't. I'm about to teach a class. I'm about to have a bunch of high school students running here. So I want to thank you all so much for your time, and hope you have a great Christmas season.
Thank you so too. Much. Coffee with Kenobi, Dan.
So see ya.
All right, Yoda's news, Mark.
Yeah, I had another one, but you guys already answered it, so I won't go ahead and make you repeat the same thing. But I just wanted to echo what everyone else said earlier, that I love these. I think they're not better than, but I think they're a lot more fun than just the standard. I mean, it's like 20 years now we've been doing the whole Toy Fair thing in February, and then it's kind of like you trickle along, and then maybe San Diego or, now New York Comic-Con, different things. But I think it's really cool that we get these, little Hasbro Pulse events, the Q&As with you guys, the just random email, hey, look, and it's out of nowhere, and we can surprise our readers with something new and interesting, instead of it just being one time a year. It's, 6, 7, 8, 9 times a year. I think it really keeps everybody engaged. Whereas normally you got that this summer is kind of boring. Now there's more to look forward to, so we know we're going to get little things every so often. So just thank you and have a great holiday season. Look forward to more of these.
Oh my gosh, you're going to make me cry. That's so sweet. Thank you, Mark. I appreciate the comments, and we definitely want to keep doing it and keep talking to the fans about all the news that we have coming out. So I appreciate it. Galactic Figures, Chris.
Yeah, so the Wall Street Journal broke the news yesterday that there's going to be a lot of layoffs at Hasbro. Might be a little too early to comment on that at all, but it's really sad to hear. Do you know how this is going to affect Star Wars figures coming out? How is this going to affect the Star Wars team? Or is it just too early to comment on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think the info out there is the only info that we have to share at the moment. I will say that you do not have to worry about the Star Wars team. We are a very, very committed group. So there's so many fans and passionate, like from everyone in this organization that works on this brand is focused on getting those great figures to you. Just like Chris and I are here right now. Our phones are off, we're focused, and we're talking to you guys about it. So, thank you for mentioning and commenting, but nothing to share beyond that. But I wanted to make sure the fans are rest assured that our focus was definitely just making sure that you guys get the best toys from our group, our team.
Thank you.
Thank you. Toy anxiety.
Same as before. I got nothing else. But again, Merry Christmas to you, everyone, and the team. And we look forward to doing this again in spring. I can't wait to see what the new year brings. It's very exciting.
Yes. Sorry, anxiety, to put you on the spot yet again.
Yeah. No, it's all good. It's my fault, not yours.
All right, bring us home Blue Harvest toys.
Oh, I could do this all day. Right, I was going to ask, this one of the questions have already been asked about what's happening with Indy, but obviously you can't say anything about that. So what I'm going to ask is, to end it all, there's a lot of brands at Hasbro, figure brands, Marvel, Star Wars, G.I. Joe. How would you tempt a new collector to start collecting Star Wars?
Interesting. So luckily we work closely with Lucasfilm, that there's like some great entertainment out there, and we're able to show figures as part of that new entertainment. Ahsoka was a good example of that, showing on screen and then having those figures to play with very shortly after. To me, it's like whatever speaks to you as a fan, whatever entertainment you saw, whether it's recent with Ahsoka, whether you're watching Clone Wars on Disney Plus again, like whatever makes you happy there's so
Definitely.
much history in Hasbro with like Star Wars toys between retro, Black Series vintage, role play. There's just a lot to dig into. Just look at what you want and what you like and what spoke to you and what you watched on TV or wherever that was really engaging to you, and then go from there and build from there.
Yeah. Well, and I think that's one of the beautiful things about Star Wars is that it's cultural in so many ways, and what our job is in a way is to give people a connection to that, and to develop that connection to Star Wars, and in a physical form. So and hopefully, I mean, whether that's somebody coming in and kind of rediscovering Star Wars toys through retro, like, oh, I had that when I was a kid, and now, oh, look at what it's become, and kind of moving on into other things, or whether that's a kid for the first time getting their first lightsaber and picking up a lightsaber squad Chewbacca lightsaber kind of thing. Like that, I mean, something like that is a fun way for people to rediscover and grow. So
yeah. All right. Well, we are at time. Thank you guys so much for spending the morning or wherever you are, whatever time period, afternoon for Blue Harvest Toys, evening. But yeah, thank you so much for chatting with us, and we hope to talk to you soon. And happy holidays,
Thanks for having us.
Happy
Thank you very
holidays.
much.
yeah,
Thank
thanks,
you.
guys.
guys.
Sure.
Bye.
Bye.
Four candles.
Four candles. Here you are. Four candles.
No, four candles.
Well, there you are. Four candles.
No, four candles. Handles for forks.